Hi everyone, this is a quick recap of what we did in class today. So if you look at our Cycle 9 classwork tab, it looks extremely long, but that is because a bunch of these are just materials, which means things that you can look at. They're not assignments. So the first thing that I want to show you is the checklist of actual assignments that you should complete before you go on break for Thanksgiving. So these are the things that we have been working on for the entirety of Cycle 9. The first one is the postcard. The second one is the brainstorming graphic organizer. Third is the thesis statement. And fourth is what we did today, which is typing your introduction on no red ink. So I have linked video tutorials for each of these. The one that is going to be behind the introduction is the one that you are listening to right now. So the checklist is there at the bottom of the Cycle 9 section. What we did today was talked about intro paragraphs. So I made some slides to walk you guys through this. There are three main parts in an introduction paragraph. It is usually written in this sort of upside down triangle shape, which is called a funnel. Because you go from a big idea, the wide part of the triangle, to a more specific idea in the middle, and then you get very specific down at the end because it is your thesis statement and it is telling your reader exactly what you're going to talk about in your paper. So the names for each of these steps are the hook, the bridge, and the thesis. So this first part, the hook, is the first sentence of your essay, and the point is that it grabs the attention of your audience. So there's a list here of a couple of different things that you can try for a hook. One is to use an analogy or a metaphor. So that would be saying something like, America is a melting pot. You are comparing America to something. The second option is a famous quote. So you could Google for quotes about America or about a specific aspect of America that you're going to discuss in your paper. There are likely a ton of quotes from famous Americans addressing what they think about this country. So that is a good option for this. And there's also the option of a shocking statement. So if you have something to say about America that you think would surprise people, or that's, interesting in some way, you could use that as well. These are not the only options for hooks, but they are ones that work a lot of the time. So they're solid options. Once you get past the hook, you have the bridge. And the purpose of the bridge is to connect the hook to your thesis statement. So in the bridge, you're going to talk about what your topic is. You're going to give some background information that your reader would need to know. Depending on what you're writing about, like what the content of your body paragraphs are, this could look different. So we're going to get to an example a little bit later that will help make it clear what exactly the bridge does. And then the last thing is the thesis, which we did on a separate piece of paper. So you should already have your thesis statement finished when you start writing your introduction, which means that this whole bottom third is already done. So you're mostly concerned with just writing a hook and a bridge. Okay, so I took an example from Springboard and added some things to it to make it fit our thesis statement frame. So I'm going to read it and then talk about where the hook, the bridge, and the thesis are in this paragraph. After the towers fell on September 11th, 2001, in the wake of all the destruction and despair, there stood a single flag blowing in the wind. The firefighters of New York City hoisted the flag to honor their fallen comrades. Like generation after generation of soldiers, firemen, and other public servants, they stood to protect and serve their fellow citizens. These are not merely jobs. They are a way of life and a source of great pride. As our honored President Abraham Lincoln once stated, I like to see a man proud of the place in which he lives. I like to see a man live so that his place will be proud of him. An American is a person who takes pride in their country, serves their country, and makes their country a better place. So if you look at this copy, I've highlighted and named the hook, the bridge, and the thesis. So the hook is just that first sentence. After the towers fell on September 11th, 2001, in the wake of all the destruction and despair, there stood a single flag blowing in the wind. So this hook is actually something different than the couple of options I gave you. This person is choosing to focus on a particular image. So he's giving us a mental picture of September 11th. In the bridge, he takes that image and starts to explain what it has to do with what he's going to be talking about. So he starts off by explaining where that single flag that's blowing in the wind, where it came from. So he says the firefighters of New York City hoisted the flag to honor their fallen comrades. So now we know he's bringing the American people into it. Like generation after generation of soldiers, firemen, and other public servants, they stood to protect and serve their fellow citizens. So now the idea of service to the country. These are not merely jobs. They're a way of life and a source of great pride. As our honored President Abraham Lincoln once stated, I like to see a man proud of the place in which he lives. I like to see a man live so that his place will be proud of him. So now we have the idea of serving your country and the idea of being proud of your country. So since he's now connected the image with the descriptions, he can go straight into his thesis. An American is a person who takes pride in their country, serves their country, and makes their country a better place. So you can tell that there are going to be 3 body paragraphs. This fits right into our frame, right? The first one will be about taking pride in your country. Second one will be about serving your country. And the last one will be about making your country a better place. Okay, so now the next step is for you to give this a try for your own thesis statement. In order to do that, we are using No Red Ink as a place to draft these intro paragraphs. So when you click on the link in Classroom, it will take you to what is called a guided draft, and the assignment is titled Essay Defining an American. So up at the top of the screen, you have a copy of the prompt, which is the question that you're writing to answer. And then you'll see that there are places here for introduction, body paragraph, and conclusion. So when you click on one of them, it will bring up this sidebar that gives you a bunch of different tools and help. So it gives you a description of what the hook and the thesis statement are. You can view a tutorial that will walk you through each step, somewhat like I just did in the slides. And then you can also view examples. So No Red Ink has their own examples of essays in here, and then they will highlight the intro paragraph so you can see what's going on. They also have a list of little tips here. So like if you're stuck on a hook, what you might do. They have examples that you can look at. Some thoughts about words that are not specific, how you can make your word choice stronger, how to narrow down your thesis statement. And there's also a tutorial on an overview of the persuasive essay. So once you have typed your introduction into this box, I want you to submit it to me, but to do that, you have to enter something into the body paragraph box, or it says that you haven't completed the assignment. So you can just write whatever you want. You can type a random string of things, letters, whatever. As long as you have text in all 3 boxes, then you can come up here and click Submit Writing. And then it will show up on my dashboard and I can read it and comment on it, which is what my goal is to do over Thanksgiving break. So that when you guys come back, we are ready to go with revising your intro and moving on to body paragraphs.